My name's Gayla Rawlinson Maynard, and my current position is I'm a director for the Center for Grants Development at Harris County Department of Education. And I've been doing this for 25 years, been in some form in the field of grants development. I didn't really decide to get into the grant field. It kind of picked me. I'm a former social worker, so I worked with persons with developmental disabilities. And I did that for almost 10 years, working at a state institution for adults with developmental disabilities, all the way to working with a local facility organization that provided similar services. And then I did some for-profit, nonprofit. I was a collaborative respite program coordinator, and that's kind of how I got started. I had to write the continuation grant for the in response to my position to be able to continue my position. So I had to make that happen. So as a result, then people at work were like, there's this job at the university, you might want to apply. And so I didn't even know about it, the job, because that the job was being announced. So I applied, I interviewed. I don't believe I was their first choice, but that's okay because it turned out great. So I ended up being like a proposal specialist at the University of Houston here. And did that. And quickly after I got there, my supervisor decided she was moving on to bigger and better things. And so I ended up being the manager. So they picked me as the manager a month later. And so I was the manager for 2 years, and then this job became available. And actually, my supervisor that had left there for the 2 years, she was doing other work in the community, and they came to Harris County Department of Education, and then she recruited me to come here. It was writing skills, organization, deadline driven, documentation, because as part of that particular job, we had to document our time every 15 minutes because it was a demonstration project, and then the budgeting and all the work that's required for grant management. So it was kind of like, if I can do that, then I can do the other. So yes, that was kind of how it all transpired. And so then I've been here for over 20 years. So I was a proposal specialist. And then shortly after I came on, probably within the year, I started getting supervisory responsibilities. And then they decided we needed an office. So that's when we started. It was initially called resource development, and then it's kind of transformed into Center for Grants Development, just because that's its primary focus. So I have had a team of 5 since for 18 years, I guess. So it's kind of, over time, it's kind of shifted, and the titles of the positions and all that work, everything kind of has evolved. We have indicators that we have to meet. So we have a return on investment, financial accountability objectives. So we have several accountability objectives, but our primary one is that we raise 40 times the amount that our office costs the organization. Now that's our goal. We don't always reach the goal, but sometimes we exceed the goal, but we have that goal set in, kind of set in stone. And then we also have some accountability objectives as it relates to how many of the program areas we need to serve based on a percentage. We do 75%. So we just have several objectives. Client satisfaction. We have to have 90% of our clients satisfied, and those are our internal clients. So we measure annually. We have a research and evaluation institute that helps us measure whether or not those internal clients are satisfied with our services. And so every year I report to the board as to how successful that we have been in our office. So I have to report based on, how many dollars we generated, how many grants we've pursued, how many grants have been awarded compared to how many we pursued, how much money we've gotten compared to how much money we requested, all those pieces, and so that's reported to our administration and our board every year. You know, I'm a GPA mentor, and I do that. I have about 4 mentees now. A lot of it is determining how you navigate a system, how you, when you begin to work within an organization, say for instance, someone's hired as a proposal specialist, you really have to learn your organization. Now, if you're aspiring to work within an organization as a grant specialist, then really the writing piece, but also the facilitation, being involved with coalitions and collaborations in your community. I think that's very important to get the kind of the person's name out there if you're looking for a job in the field. And then determining whether or not, if you want nonprofit versus government versus institution of higher ed, which are, where do you feel it is the best fit for you, kind of thing, is what I've kind of seen. The people I have, I mean, our positions don't come up very often because in our organization, I mean, I think the last 5 years is the shortest period of time in those type of positions, from development associate all the way to development coordinator. I have a resource development specialist and a manager. So it's really trying to determine, kind of where you fit. One of the things too, though, is after a person starts working, they need to have some wins. I always talk to my mentees about the small wins, because that's how you get other programs to want to work with you. As you've got to, if you can get that one group that really wants to work, don't worry about those other ones. Work with that one, because eventually they're going to get on the gravy train and on the grant train and decide, wait a minute, if everybody else is getting, all these awards and recognition for the grants that they're receiving, then I want that too. So, and the person needs to have some wins early on in their career. Well, of course, I have to recommend the GPA training, and when we had charity channels, all of that training. I love Diane Leonard. I love Lucy Morgan's. I've gone to all of her Office of Management Budget circulars, grant management training. A lot, to get an understanding of both sides of, because I think you have to understand grant management in order to understand grant acquisition and grant compliance. So I think that those things are really important. I like Grant Zone. I use that really regularly. I learn a lot, and you have a lot of resources and a lot of documents and things like that that are very helpful. Tools that people use. Locally, we have different grant training organizations, but internationally, that's kind of where I go. It's GPA. Read, ask a lot of questions. There are books. There's lots of books. There's lots of resources. Attend training, but work on projects. I mean, there's just so many things. Someone could volunteer. If you're on a board, volunteer with the development people on a grant proposal. If you're wanting to expand your career, look for those types of things. I mean, success kind of begets success, as I see. So it's, the more we can be involved in our community and make those connections, go to chapter meetings. If you can find a grant professional association chapter, go there, because people will help you. They're very collaborative. Love the grants community.